I'm actually kind of pretty excited for this little thing, because this can be one of those like toilet games instead of using my smartphone. Actually, this is probably going to be a... Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I have another soldering kit that I'm going to put together. I have a link for this down below if you would like to join with me. This is like a little Tetris and kind of snake handheld game. It doesn't come with any case or anything, it's just a PCB and some buttons and stuff, but I thought we'd go ahead and do this, and who knows, maybe I'll try to get like some kind of high score. Obviously it will be a high score because I'll have been the only person to play on this particular unit. Anyways, let's get started. Okay. First things first, of course, we need to open it. And this kit is a little smaller than the radio kit that I did. But this one at least has an instruction manual. Okay. And... oh yeah, this is a picture-by-picture instruction manual. I'm not going to bother showing every single page because if you're wanting to do this, you should already have it in your kit. Yeah, anyways, I'm not seeing a link to download a virtual version of this instruction manual. If you're doing the project with me, then I just assume that you already have it in your kit. Otherwise, just follow along with what I'm doing. Who knows? We're going to learn something together, I hope. Maybe. We'll see. I hope I learned something. I like to learn. Alright, so with this kit, we have some switches and buttons, a little bit of some hardware in there, you know, screws and nuts and things, the power cord. Oh, I take that back. This does too have a case. I thought it didn't. But in fact, it's got acrylic pieces right here. Very good. We'll go ahead and stick our PCB right here, just to give it a place to be for now. There we go. And then of course we have our play screen and digital, 3-digit digital readout. Oh, there's a second play screen there. Interesting. So this comes with two. And one pin is bent on this one. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. We can get to that. I'm gonna leave this in the little baggie though. Here we go. I'm a little upset. Well, I'm not a little upset. I'm a little confused. There are no capacitors, diode. Oh, I take that back. There is a capacitor in there. There doesn't seem like a whole lot of electrical components within this. I'm betting this chip is probably doing most of the work, and that chip's already pre-installed on the board. But I'm seeing one capacitor. Yeah, that's it, man. There's one capacitor and a speaker in here. Everything else is buttons. Buttons and switches. There is a mini USB socket. Okay, so this is actually going to be way easier than the radio. I'll probably get this done tonight instead of, you know, over 3 nights. Nice thing I'm finding about this kit, though, inside the instruction manual, there is a guide on how to do a correct solder joint. Okay, and as you see right there, how it's got that nice little mountain, plus it goes down through the hole around your wire connection, and all of the how to do it the wrong way. So this is actually probably a very, very good first kit, just simply for this reason here. Our first part is USB socket. Goes onto, and these, okay, so the other kit, everything was numbered. This is not, but it does have a very good illustration on where everything goes. Apparently this solders to this side of the board that has these two warnings on it. And it's going to solder just above this gap, where it says gap on the board. And it's going to go right here. There's 3 smaller pins and some larger pins. Yep, and it goes in there just like that. Okay. The 3 pins in the middle do not need to be soldered because the USB cable is only used for power supply. So this is not a data supply port. It's power only. And it's talking about, there's 3 holes. Right there where I'm pointing. That one, that one and that one do not need to be soldered, because those are the data transfer pins. These other 6 though, these 2 little guys on the sides here, and these 4 bigger slots, those do need to be soldered. Very good. Okay, so that's done. Next step, dot matrix. So the dot matrix displays, that goes on the warning label areas. Apparently, is there... Oh, it says warning installation of lattice block needs to be aligned. Okay, I already see what's happening here. So, align lattice with points, it says. Leave that there. So on the board here, okay, it's got this little notch here at the bottom of the illustration. Okay, same thing right there. All right, I believe that's going to have a corresponding notch on the display, and there is. Okay, and this is kind of a funky little thing to see. That's this little nipple, I guess. That little hump there, that little button, that lines up on that little rectangle on the board. And I will do these one at a time. I'm actually kind of pretty excited for this little thing, because this can be one of those like toilet games instead of using my smartphone. Actually, this is probably going to be a play it just before I pass out and go to sleep game. I'm assuming this plastic film that's on these is a protective film. If not, I'm going to feel really dumb later. I believe it is, though, because it was impeding being able to mount the boards. Yeah, that was just a protective film. No big deal. Okay, now the little screens are all soldered into there. I gotta say, this particular kit, this one's soldering a lot better than even that radio. And that radio actually soldered pretty easy, but for some reason, I think it's these pinholes. They're just a little bit wider, and so getting the solder to actually go down into the hole around the pins and the wires, I'm finding it to be a lot easier, which is good. This is I'm thinking that this is actually probably a better starter kit than the radio I did. Like if you did this first, and then you do the radio kit, and then you move on from there, I think that would be the way to go. We gotta put the... Okay. This is where we're gonna get into, I'm gonna start telling secrets. Okay. So, the instruction says, tear off protective film. I guess it probably said that on the other one. But the instructions is calling this a digital tube. I would assume this is called a digital display, but it calls it a digital tube. And the secret I'm going to tell you is, I am in love with Nixie tubes. I want to do so many projects involving Nixie tubes. It's stupid. I want to make several clocks to put around in my house because I think Nixie tubes are actually the coolest looking thing ever. Now, I can do it pretty cheaply with some LED imitation Nixie tubes that when you hook up the circuits, they work the same. But I just thought it was funny that they're calling this a digital tube when a Nixie tube also can change numbers, basically, right? It's, I think, what, 10 different circuits in one bulb that highlight, you know, it electrifies each different filament as needed for whichever number it needs to display. I want to do so many projects with Nixie tubes. So, you know what? If you subscribe to my channel, eventually you're going to see some cool Nixie tube projects. Also, the instructions don't specify. Obviously, this is a number display. So next to each number there is a decimal. That will be the side which faces down. And for this board, I am holding this board upright. And also, if you see on the display here how it has each 8 with the decimal toward the bottom of it, that's how we're going to install this display. Perfecto mundo. Alright, so we have that done. On to the next step. It says capacitance. I gotta say, these instructions are not well worded. It's actually kind of the opposite of the instructions for the radio. The radio was all words and hardly any illustrations other than at the bottom of the instruction manual, which was only in PDF form. This one's just the opposite. It's all pictures with just a couple of words here and there. But you know what? Hey, I'm all about it. I'm all about trying to do things in different ways and trying to read an instruction manual in a different way. I don't mind a little bit of a challenge. I really don't. Anyways, capacitance. And I happen to know capacitor. Or at least, ooh, that's all I could find in the bag here. And there she is. Uh-oh, there, out of focus, in focus, out of focus. There we go. The one capacitor. It has a polarity, right? That longer pin, what I've been learning with electronics, with these little components, that longer pin is positive, the shorter pin is negative. And that goes for diodes, capacitors, LEDs, whatever. The longer pin is positive, the shorter pin is negative. And that is going to go directly below our display right here. And it is... yeah, the hole closer to that display is negative, the one further away is positive. So we will do it just like that. Boom. Boom, chocolate lava. You know, instead of boom, chocolate, or chocolate. What? I don't know. I'm not into trendy things from like 15 years ago. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Alright, that was a very quick install. Again, I'm going to reiterate, this solder kit is actually way easier than the radio. So if you're watching this one ahead of the radio, good for you. If not, you know, say you got a kid that wants to do this stuff, start them on this one. Start them on this one. Okay? And then go to the radio. This one's way easier. And I actually really like this one. I'm having fun with it already. Yeah, oh, and just in case you're wondering, the instructions does say the difference between the longer pin and the shorter pin and positive and negative, so. Keys! We're going to do keys next. And it has absolutely no words there other than the word keys. So, at this point, I'm forced to assume all 6 of those buttons are completely uniform. And as long as we get them all into the places on the board, we should be in business. And it appears that yes, I do have 6 buttons and they are all completely uniform. And of course they're all momentaries, that's good. Okie dokie, I have all of the buttons soldered to the board, and it's not too shabby looking. I really like this board, man. Everything is spread out well. This is really easy to do. This is a very, very good first time solder project, I think, so far. Whew. Yeah, all my buttons seem to be working just fine here. Okay. Okay, right on. So, now we need to do what they're calling the buzzer, which is technically a speaker, but because this isn't some crazy high-end electronic, it's going to be used as a buzzer. Unless it does have a... No, it's just a speaker that is used as a buzzer. I was going to say unless there's some kind of circuitry in there, but it's just positive, negative, nothing else. This one's pretty simple. It just goes right here. Obviously, positive and negative. You can't see it. It is depicted on the bottom of the device, and then it goes to the corresponding holes within that little circle. Okay, next page says power switch. And, I mean, that's really the last thing to solder besides the battery holder. So, I'm assuming there's a right way and a wrong way with this. So, it says the holes on the switch should be aligned with the square marks on the PCB. So, the square marks on the PCB, it says, where it says the word gap, and then there's an arrow and that little rectangle right there. Okay. And then on the bottom of the switch, there is a corresponding hole. See that little middle pin in there? So that lines up with that little rectangle on the deal. So it would go like this. Alright, next step, it says battery box. Oh. Okay, so now we're going to I'm going to put this back onto my helping hands. Because now, apparently, we're going to begin assembling the case for this. And by God, this is the fastest solder project on the entire universe. Great. Can I express enough? Great, very first solder project. I should have done this before the radio. But the radio turned out fine. I still use it in the kitchen when I'm doing dishes and cooking my food. Alright, it looks like we want this back plate first. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the rest of my life tearing this paper off. I'll see you then. So for this, basically, it wants to... Right, it wants to bolt these two screw holes in the bottom of the little battery holder to these two screw holes here on the case, and then these two wires, positive and negative, it wants to go through that third hole right there. Okay, can you see that? Yeah, that third hole. So battery box mounts to these two, and the wire goes through that third one. And I need to figure out which screws. It says use 2 long screws and 2 nuts to fix the battery box to the acrylic bottom plate, and the wire goes through the hole. Okay, so it says to use 2 long screws. And I'd say if you crack that acrylic piece, you probably tightened it too tight, so don't do that. Alrighty. And by the way, I could not in my life imagine a chintzier battery box. That's okay, it's gonna work. And then we're gonna feed these wires through the hole. Alright, so now we have it attached to the acrylic via the 2 long screws with the nuts, and I've threaded the wires through the hole in the board. Now it says wire. Okay. So the wires are to be soldered onto the back of the board to those 2 smaller holes there, which is the back side of the mini USB port. Okay, and it wants to, yeah, it even says ground, what does it say? Ground black, VCC red. So ground's there, positive's there. And I'm going to do myself a huge favor because I don't like these tiny little ends they've cut, and I'm just going to go ahead and do my own ends. They certainly give us enough wire, though. That's a good 8 to 10 inches worth of extra wire. That other kit had maybe 2.5. Okay, I also feel like those two bigger holes were supposed to have the wire go through it, but it didn't show it in the picture. Oh! Yeah, it did show it. So it's actually showing both wires traveling through the hole and back, and that is to no doubt hold the wires in place. So I'm going to undo that and do that way because I do like that idea. We're going to have to hope and pray that works. I kind of made a mess of that. I didn't do it right. But, well, I guess we don't know until we know, you know? So I'm not going to go crazy with that. Okay. Now, next step. Hex copper pillars. Tighten the hexagonic isolation pillars to the four corners of the PCB. So this is what it wants. It wants this little guy here, if you can see it. Come on. Focus. Okay, so this has a threaded end, female, threaded end, male. And it wants to do that. Come on, camera. Doggone it. Silly thing. Okay, so it wants to do that end into that end. Alright, like this. Through the corner of the plexiglass to the corner of the PCB. Alright, so basically it's going to go like this, short one there to the long one on the other side. And then PCB goes on top of this with a screw. That's what we're doing. That's done. Now, as soon as I find the booklet that I threw over there, this one's the battery deal on the very back. And supposedly we're going to wrap up the wires in some kind of a nice fashion. I'm thinking about maybe even like a little bitty zip tie would be worth using if I can find my box of zip ties, that is. Says keycaps. That would be all the little yellow buttons that come with it here. And I assume the little red one for power. So let's give her a flip around over here and take care of that. I think this is actually going to be a neat little gadget and it's probably going to well complement the radio that I might. I didn't make the radio. I assembled the radio. And it doesn't look like there's any particular direction these go in. And it just says install button cap, so I don't believe that there's any particular direction for these. They just go on there. They go on there kind of hard, though. Alright, it says install all 4 pieces of acrylic on the sides. Alright, so we're going to change my helping hands to a more propped up resting position. Something along the lines of that. That looks pretty good. I'm going to peel off the rest of the paper for the rest of the acrylic pieces. And just so we are all aware, there is one side piece that has a hole. That would be for the USB mini port. I'll see you in however long this takes. Okay, that's a little confusing. So I said that this one, right, that's for the, that is 100% definitely for the mini USB. But also this one has a slot in it. I'm trying to decide what exactly that would be for. Right, okay, so there is 4 additional optional places to solder things. You know, things that says, you know, ground, receive, transmit, VCC. That's something I could look into in the future and try to figure out what that's for and what I could do with it. Maybe it goes to like a controller or perhaps some other kind of a larger display. But that is 100% exactly what that slot is for, because it's exactly that same length. Alright folks, that is the completed assembly of this little handheld pocket game. Okay. Doesn't seem like any of the buttons are binding up on the acrylic. That's really good. So, this does have 2 options for power. It has the batteries and the USB port. I'm going to try them both. This USB cord, it's pretty short. It's not real long, so I'm just gonna, I gotta move the camera up a little bit, and we'll plug in straight from the power strip. So this is gonna be the first time on right here. Okay, so now I have power going into the plug now. Doesn't smell funny, nothing, no burning smells, so that's good so far. Alright, let's see what happens here. Hey, it works! Awesome! Ooh, that looks like a fun game. Here, let me, let's kill the ring light. Oh, yeah, look at that! Dude, that's cool! Alright, it has a big 1 there. I'm assuming that means level 1, so let's, and the no copyright version of the Tetris song. Okay, so this is just, we're just playing Tetris right now. Dudes, check it out, we're playing freaking Tetris. Oh crap. Oh crap. And also, I, like, suck at Tetris. Look at this. Oh god, I don't even have 1 line out of this. Oh wait, now I do. Hey! I got 1 point for 1 line. Ooh! Wait a minute, I gotta... Oh, I got 2 whole points now. Okay, I gotta be honest with you, this is actually a cool, fun little Tetris game. Alright, so we're going to turn that power off. I want to try it with the batteries. So let's try with the batteries real quick. Let me get you up this direction. Here, there we go. I mean, these have to be triple. Yeah, they're definitely AAAs. I will say that, let me turn that ring light back on. Yay! Okay, so I will say the springs on this, the end of the spring is, it looks like it's just a little wider than the back of the AAA batteries. It looks like it's touching in there, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. This might be one of those you kind of have to nestle it in there and get it to really seat in there in a good way. Yeah, okay, like that. That one in there, it didn't want to touch at all. Okay, now it looks like it's touching. I'm not super happy with how it's touching in there, but at least it looks like it's touching. So let's kill that ring light again, and we'll see if the batteries work. By golly, they sure do. They sure as heck do. Oh my gosh. This was a really cool, neat little project. It was easier than the radio. I recommend this as a very first beginner's project because it went together actually super easy, super quick, a lot of fun. And the instructions even had instructions on how to solder generally. And it's a cool little game. I'm super excited that it worked. I'm always happy when I put something like this together and it works. That's really, really good. And I think I want to start doing more of these solder projects into the future, and maybe we'll do them as reviews. And as far as this one goes, I can give it a review of it's a really good beginner's project. It was very inexpensive for what it is. I recommend anybody who is thinking about getting into electronics repair, soldering, anything like that, start with this project and get a little practice. Again, I'm very happy that it came with the acrylic case pieces to put around it, so that way you can actually hold it and play it, not be holding just the board. That's really nice. And honestly, overall, I'm very, very happy with this piece. So moving into the future, I do have some repair videos coming up that I'm going to be doing. And eventually we're going to work our way up to a video that I'm going to do that's going to feature a piece of technology that's 73 years old. And I'm going to try to do a couple of really neat and cool things with it, or at least I think. I'm not going to completely restore it, but I'm going to get it working. And there's going to be it might even be 2 or 3 videos on just that. So please stick around for that, and just go ahead, subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of this content, the videos I've done in the past. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know them. And with all that being said, please have a beautiful day.